everybody, it is dietitian Zet here. Hello everybody, it's dietitian Zet here and Dr. Andre Visser. Welcome to our Zetlife mini-series. So this is our second video. If you missed the first video where we had a nice introduction of who Dr. Andre Visser is, please go watch it. So I first want to ask you something completely off topic.
Oh man.
In practice, you have a case here full of knives, you have bullets. Please tell us more a bit about your military experience.
In the previous video, me and Luan also had a conversation. Now Luan is laughing at the bullets. It was when I was in the military. It was my decision after you basically finish your 6-year. Well, it's changed now too. There's a new curriculum. But in my time, sounds like I'm very old now. In my time, it was a question of 6 years. Then you get your degree. Then you have to do your housemanship year, and then it used to stop. But the class of '97, which was my class, we were the first ones to actually do community service too. So I didn't study through the military, and usually only the guys that studied medicine through the military, they would get into the military hospitals. I applied thinking that I'm not going to get in, and then I got in. So my housemanship year was done at one military hospital in Voortrekkerhoogte, but the thing that, or it's called, sorry to be politically correct, it's called Tabatswane these days. It's next to the Voortrekker monument in any case. So, but the thing that happened afterwards is that I liked my housemanship here, but I wanted a little bit more adventure. So I joined 7 Medical Battalion, which is basically a doctors for the reconnaissance guys. And all of these bullets and things, just my mom used to say that I've got a bit of a problem with bullets and stuff. But I basically collected that from test grounds and whatever. So I met a whole lot of nice, decent people that loved this country. So that's why I keep this stuff, and that's why I was willing to do military service. It's 2 things in one basically. I did military service and I did my housemanship here, so I could do something for the country. That's basically it.
That's nice to hear. That's good.
Yeah.
Wow, well done.
Thanks.
I don't think today's days it really is the case.
No, I feel sometimes people has got this major entitlement thing around them, in the sense that I've studied so much, so therefore I am entitled to this. It's not like that. The day you came to ask me if you can join the practice, you had no entitlement about you. That was one of the first things I liked, and except for the major preparation and the major business plan and everything that you had prepared, you'd had no entitlement. If there was entitlement, it was your entitlement that you're willing to work hard. So if that is your entitlement, that you're willing to work hard in life per se, then I think you, in any country, in any circumstances, no matter what, things will go well.
That's good. Good motivation for the day. So let's get down to business.
Okay.
So I want to ask about, obviously we work a lot with sports nutrition and like working out ourselves, and my husband always talking to people in the gym. We see a lot of interactions with androgenic growth hormone, of steroids and stuff like that. Please abbreviate on the use of, how can I call it, hormone use?
Hormone overdose.
Yes.
Well, if you haven't watched the first video, I just want to refer back to that firstly. I think you have to watch our first video, not because I'm in there. It's because we talked about statistics and we talked about academics. And I am a guy that firstly is very ethical. That's something that you feel personally about. But on the other hand, I like to speak out of an academic perspective, and that entails statistics. So everything I try and say and I try to communicate is based on academic facts that comes from statistics. Obviously in medicine you will get the one or two people that does not fit into that mold. That's how people were made. But this that we are talking about will purely come out of studies and academics. So when we talk about hormones, firstly, again, like I said in the first video, a hormone is a chemical messenger, like a nerve in your body is an electrical messenger. Now the hormones that you're talking about is, we have got our own steroid in our body, and our own steroid in our body, or juice, or whatever the people want to call it.
Vitamin A.
Whatever the people want to call it, is called cortisol. And that's secreted by your adrenal glands. And that, yes, has to do with synthesis of muscles and the uptake of protein out of your diet to build muscles, because protein is the thing that is the building block in your body. The problem with all of these things are the following. The body controls this via the brain, also via a hormone. And if you talk about steroids, we might as well then talk about growth hormone as well. So it basically goes hand in hand. Steroids is adrenocorticosteroids. That means it is things that is synthesized or made in a lab to duplicate the cortisol that is secreted in your body. Where we actually give people sometimes what we call corticosteroids. Corticosteroids are steroids, for example, that are given to children when they have croup or when they have asthma. Same goes for adults that have asthma. And it comes in a tablet form, it comes in an inhalation form, and it comes in a nasal spray form. That is a total different steroid than an anabolic steroid or adrenal steroid that we're going to talk about now. So don't confuse the two. So if we talk about the adrenal corticosteroid, it's very easy. You get a message from your brain, and it's actually the pituitary gland in your brain that gives you what we call a trophic hormone. That means it's a hormone that comes from your brain to basically signal to your adrenal gland to then secrete the cortisol. So it's a hormone that signals the organ to secrete another hormone. The nice thing about this is that this cortisol will go past your brain too. So your brain will pick up the amount of cortisol that's in your body. And it will then either tell the adrenal gland, listen, there's too little of this in your body, or there's too much in your body. And therefore the adrenal gland will then regulate that. But it's ultimately the brain. So you can imagine now if you inject yourself with a thing that mimics the same effect as the cortisol. Obviously the brain is going to start saying, hello, but now you've got too much in your body, and the brain is going to tell the adrenal gland to stop secreting it. But the adrenal gland can't go back to the brain and say, hello, I'm not secreting anything anymore, because the brain is just picking up the amount of that cortisol in your body. So what happens then is, the more you inject, the more stupid you make your adrenal gland, so that your adrenal gland and another gland, which is called your testes, stops secreting these hormones, which is cortisol, testosterone, whichever you like. So the moment you climb off the steroids, your glands are stupid. They can't secrete it anymore. And that's why you'll find that a whole lot of bodybuilders or whatever, and it's pretty much the same with rugby players. We all look up to rugby players in this country in the sense that they are major heroes. But we never see them when they past 45. And 90% of them get a knee replacement. Why? Because when they were young, they played this massive contact sport, and their knees and their hips and their arms and their shoulders all got broken. But it is only the effect after they are older that you then see the side effects of the sport. Now, I don't mind bodybuilding having steroids associated with it. If you want to do it that way and make your muscles look great and stuff like that, perfect. The problem is, look at these people when they're over 45. And you'll find that most of them, I'm not saying all, most of them will either have heart disease or they will be obese or whatever, because the glands that are supposed to build muscle and keep your body in balance is not in balance anymore, because you did it to yourself. And people will say, yeah, but I can reactivate that gland again. It's the same as with diabetes. When you have it, you have it. There's no way of reactivating that organ anymore. You can do other things. Like you said with diabetes in the previous video, is that you can make the cell more susceptible. But there's no medication for people that have overdosed on steroids. So there's no magic trick that I can pull out to make your cells then more susceptible to, for example, the little testosterone you've got left, or the little cortisol you've got left that your glands are still secreting. And that goes beyond the other fact that you actually, they not only go on that, they also inject themselves with insulin to heighten their metabolism. Also they inject or they take a thyroid tablet to heighten their thyroid function. That increases their metabolism so that they can so-called cut themselves, so their fat percentage goes below 5%. And then they also use diuretics to basically make them even dehydrated, that their skin sort of sits, that there's no interstitial fluid, so it sits to the muscle, so everything looks profoundly great. Overuse of diuretics gives you kidney problems, you can get kidney stones. Overuse of a thyroid tablet, eventually your thyroid will shut down and you'll get an underactive thyroid. And so the story goes on. The other thing that happens to these people, and especially with growth hormone people, and now, yes, to give you an example, Sylvester Stallone is 72. Okay, you wouldn't say that if you look at him, but he's injecting growth hormone on a regular basis. But the trick here is when he started. He started when his growth hormone in his body was already starting to deplete. It wasn't that he had the right amount of growth hormone and then overdosed. So growth hormone these days are actually a major talking point again, because it's seen as a wonder drug to keep people young. And you can see it in Sylvester Stallone. But again then, if you want to do that, you need to know what the dosages are, and you need to know at what time you can start and how many times a day. I know for a fact that he's not injecting growth hormone every day, but I know for a fact that there's some bodybuilders that inject themselves with steroids and growth hormone every day. And it's the old saying of too much of a good thing is a bad thing. So that's out of a layman's point why those things will never be good for you on the long run. But if you're planning to look good until you're 40 and then die, well, imperfect.
I think that's a problem. People don't realize how time flies.
Yes.
I mean, it feels like yesterday when we were 18 ourselves, and then like all the people you meet in the gym, they're like, no, this and that, and now some of them already passed away.
Precisely.
And we're not even 30.
And we're seeing that more because it's those two drugs are easily to attain on the black market, and we're seeing it that 30-year-olds come into casualties with heart attacks, stuff like that. So because and then you ask them afterwards if they survive it, have you used any substances, and then the answer is yes. So it's stuff that we didn't used to see, but in the military we used to see something similar to that, and that was in my time, ecstasy, the drug ecstasy was a big thing. So the military guys used to take, when they go out at night, they used to take ecstasy and Viagra together. And that used to then cause a major heart attack. Because the guy comes in, because you're not supposed to take Viagra if you have a heart condition. Now obviously the guy's young and he doesn't have a heart condition. But ecstasy, as you know, makes your heart rate go up, and it makes you perspire and makes you drink more water. So now you take this drug that gives you a major high heart rate or tachycardia, and then you take Viagra with that, and the guy comes in and he has chest pains. So except for, amongst other things. So which the Viagra caused them. But and it all goes about when and how you should take medication. And the idea is I see patients every day that tells me to take a tablet a day is bad for them, or they don't like taking tablets. So if you don't like taking tablets, why do you like injecting yourself? It just doesn't make sense. So everything at its time it will be okay. And again, there's lots of research being done on growth hormone. We know steroids per se is bad for you, but the growth hormone, the jury is still out. But again, it's done in controlled environments, not by someone on the black market that tells you you can get this at a cheaper price, and because you can get it cheaper, that's why you can inject it more. I mean, that's the most stupid thing on earth.
Sure.
If you start growing older naturally as a man, your test starts to drop.
Yes.
Is it wise to replace that with a small dosage proportionally, so that you don't lose too much muscle mass while you still train, to retain your nice body?
Luana, it's a very good question. What we do find is that people that train very hard gets what we call catabolic. You always have to be anabolic. That means you build on what you've achieved. If you overtrain, you're going to break down things and then you get catabolic. And that goes for your hormones too, because the glands can only secrete a certain amount. So if you overtrain that amount, then you are going to start breaking down your body. So the first thing that you have to do is you have to actually test the testosterone in your body, and you must test the amount of growth hormone in your body. We know as a fact that in males, after puberty, your testosterone level starts dropping and your growth hormone level starts dropping. But the laboratory has got per age the amount that those hormones needs to be in your body. So if you then test it, you go to your doctor and you say, well, and there's certain signs of that, chronic fatigue, all those type of things, and you ask specifically, listen doctor, I'm training very hard or whatever, and then he tests your testosterone and growth hormone and it becomes below the normal levels. Yes, then you can add to that. But then again, the doctor will give you a dosage that you need to take. You cannot then go out of your own, or when you feel tired or you think, oh, I see my muscles are shrinking, now I need this. Everything again has to be done in an academic way. And academics can stretch very far. We all know the story about Lance Armstrong. I mean, he was the best doper in the world. I mean, because he did it academically. He used to pump himself full of a whole lot of substances, and then what they used to do is he used to train and used to withdraw that blood from him and save it for him. So when he does a Tour de France, then he gets a blood exchange. And then when they test him, he is obviously negative, but his red blood cells and all those other things have gotten the synthesis. So it's all about controlling the thing. But yes, there are people that overtrain and then they need extra stuff. The other problem is sports people. Sports people can overtrain and then you can't give them these substances because they're going to get tested. Then it's also a problem, and you get they can't even take antihistamine because that's also seen as an illegal substance. So there's just so much variables that it has to be done on an academic basis.
Very interesting and quite shocking as well.
Yes.
So don't do drugs.
It's basically that.
Yeah. And do you have anything else to add? I'm like shocked. Very interesting.
Hormones are a thing that's not as easy to control again as your nerve endings, because your nerve endings is a one electrical impulse and that's it. Hormones need to circulate through your whole bloodstream, so it's a more prolonged process than what a nerve would be. So you actually need to watch that much better than what you used to watch just by training a muscle, for example, which is total nerve balanced. You tell your arm to do a bicycle and it does a bicycle. It happens like this. Hormones doesn't work in that way. So that's where the blood studies and all those things comes in, and biochemistry.
Very important, very important. I think we can do another video on thyroid stimulating hormone maybe.
Yes.
That will be good. So stay tuned for more, everybody. If you have any questions, please comment in the comment section so you all get to know Dr. Andre Visser a bit better now. And he's also at 936 Jog Street if you need to come and see him. Have a wonderful day and we look forward to seeing you again. Bye!